Welcome, everyone, to Right Size Living, where recovery meets real life. From health and fitness to humor and hard-earned lessons, this is your space for honest conversations, personal stories, and tips to thrive in every aspect of life. Whether you're in recovery or just curious about living alcohol and addiction-free, you're in the right place. Let's dive into the journey together. Hello.
Hello. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
What's up?
All right. Let's get cracking. So to start us, let's I think we all notice here that there's a fifth box here this evening. So
Yeah, look at
let's
that.
welcome Joe.
Joe, up there.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks for inviting me to your boy talk.
It's a great name.
Wait, talk. Oh, yeah.
Joe, real quick, how do you know this fine group of I don't know, degenerates?
From recovery activities here in Portland, Oregon. I was a roommate of Cbass for a little while.
Oh, we were roommates. You were next door.
We lived in the same house.
You were sleeping when he was your roommate.
No.
We were housemates.
We were housemates.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. I was wrong. Yeah, and then I met James at the recovery gym, and then I met Brandon and you guys through this little club that we go to, and
We met at pickleball.
we did meet at pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
Can you vouch for them?
Who?
I vouch for that?
No, Joe. Can Joe vouch for you guys?
Yes. I know them all to be problemed.
Yeah, troubled.
Yes.
Good. It's good that everyone else is clear here. We all know that these guys are not good people. Anyways, all right, let's go on. I'm joking, guys. Super excited to see you. I just got back, and it's been a long week, and so I've been looking forward to spending some time with you all. Let's kick it off. Let's do our weekly buy-in, and I'll start out. I am oddly enough, I'm feeling like a good solid 8 or 9 right now, even though yeah, things are kind of weird. I'm feeling pretty good. Just left a meeting, got here, was looking forward to this for a while, so super excited to be here.
Nice.
Who's next? Let's go with Brandon.
Okay. I'd say I'm 8 or 9. It's today's a good day. I actually slept in a little bit. I was planning on going to the gym, but I worked late last night, and so I slept in. It's about 7:30 and got a bit of work done and was productive. So it was stark contrast compared to yesterday. It was like yesterday was a great started off at the gym, which was awesome, and went to work and it just out of the blue, just anxiety, panic. And so I was just kind of on this downward spiral. I was texting Rob, I'll make this quick, how like I can, when get kind of panicky, I have this, I basically go through a check of what's kind of making me causing anxiety and, get a game plan. But like none of that shit was working at all yesterday. It was kind of fucked. And I went to the Altered Egos meeting, and that was pretty good. But yeah, pretty good day. I wrote that new guy from New Town Hall meeting. He's going to start going to the gym.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to meet up for coffee.
Did he show up to the Alter Egos?
No, he had some work, or he was getting ready for something for a review for whatever treatment he was in. So, but yeah, he's still super fucking raw.
Yeah.
So I told him we'll meet up and I can go over what I did that, helped me ease the anxiety, which was exercise and meetings.
And
Yeah.
Brandon out.
Jimmy, you want to go?
Sure. I'm probably an 8, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
some high
Yeah.
rating.
What's that?
Got some high scores up here.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't have too much to complain about, right? I mean, there's a lot going on. Dude, that when it comes down to it, I don't, have this like overwhelming dread. I don't like hate myself. I don't, I get to look at Brandon's pussy cat, you know, and I'm petting my dog right now. And so, yeah, a lot of stuff to be grateful for. I'm an 8. Joe, what's up with you?
I'm somewhere in between high 7 and 8. I just finished a long week at a new job, and it was like my first full week, along with getting my house done and listed, and I'm feeling accomplished and just a little tired. And I went back to the gym like 5 days this week, which is a transition for me. Lots of transitional things happening,
Yep.
but
Awesome.
doing good.
Heck yeah.
Good to hear, man.
Me, I think I'd be an 8 if the sun was out. But
God, it's beautiful outside, isn't it? It's been great stretch we've had here. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah, no, the weather does. It's crazy how it affects me. Like, just going from nice sunny to the rain, like it really does affect me. But it's all good. I can't complain too much. I can, but not going to. Solid 7. Solid 7. Would be an 8 if the sun was out. Busy week. Guess where I went today? I went to the rack. Got myself a couple things.
Cologne.
Me and T-Bone were talking about the rack last night.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I was there. I was working out near the airport, and I'm like, I'm close to the rack. I'll go to the rack. I had to pick up some stuff for work because I'll be doing weddings this summer, so I need some some nicer clothes for shooting weddings. So got some things, and I got some Ray-Bans while I was there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't have any sunglasses, but
So
a little shopping therapy felt good. So maybe I'm an 8.
I could have swore you were going to be a Bay 19.
A Bay 19?
Yeah.
They don't sell Bay 19 there. But I
No,
did. I did look at the colognes. I looked at because they have deals there. But I already have like half of their stock. So,
there you go.
but yeah, doing good.
good.
So,
What do we got?
What do I got? Well, first, I don't know. I feel like since we have Joe here, maybe it's worth letting Joe just chat for a little bit about himself. I know he's already kind of shared briefly about, and not to put you on the spot, Joe. This is only if you want to, but maybe just like how you have, maybe just a couple minutes how you got into recovery first, just because the rest of us have all kind of shared that in the past. But I don't know. Maybe if you don't mind, I don't know if the others feel the same
Yeah.
way. You guys want to hear a little bit?
And also, Joe, we want to hear about all your transition stuff.
yeah, a little bit of my story. I've been in recovery for, I don't know, 15 years off and on, and a lot of relapse in there, but some good chunks of solid sobriety. A couple years ago, some bad relapses. Marriage was not going well and needed to get into treatment. So I did that, and that's where I met Cbass and some other guys through that treatment process. And that was a turning point for me. So I feel like the recovery of the past couple of years, it was different than the recovery of the past 15 years since I've been battling this disease, if you will. Yeah, so past couple of years, got divorced, started my fitness journey, if you will, and we all kind of enjoy that together. And so transitioning from married life to now middle-aged single guy life, the challenges with that, and shared custody of my daughter, and the co-parenting situation, and changing careers a couple years ago, kind of when my marriage ended, my career path just kind of changed. These days, I do recovery activities in the gym and hang out with other dudes in recovery.
A lot of that transitional stuff that you're talking about, I remember you going through it while you were at Treehouse, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
going through the divorce, your kid, that, and I think if I remember correctly, you were changing jobs, or you had like a lot.
Yeah. Well, at the end of my cooking career, my restaurant career, in my last relapse, I realized that I needed to get out of that kind of environment. And so I left restaurants and started with this kind of startup company. But, their career wasn't really the problem. And so when I went to treatment, I just quit that job. And so when I got out of treatment, I didn't have a job. And so that's when I was kind of exploring what to do with, my new life, you know, living in an apartment by myself for the first time in 20 years and thinking about, okay, what do I want to be when I grow up? So I started slow, and worked in grocery store, entry level, and was doing that for a couple of years. But now I just started with a nonprofit organization, cooking for them, and we feed the rest villages and some of the houseless community and some schools, and that's been really cool. It's different than I'm used to, and so it's a different environment, and it's I think going to take some getting used to and adjusting my expectations of the people that I work with. And so it's just trying to get used to that right now is a little bit tricky, but it's much better than, the grocery store where everyone's just kind of angry.
Does it have that restaurant feel vibe to it that you're used to being in when you're working in restaurants and struggling through alcoholism? Does it, I mean,
No, no. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of bringing that, this stressful, fast paced, it's got to be done. It's got to be now. It's got to be fast, you know, more. It's not that. And so I find myself kind of acting in that manner when nobody else is, and nobody's telling me to act like that. They're like, just chill, you know, it's all good, man. We're just, we make these big old batches of food, like 400 pounds of chicken, and we're just, portioning it out into these little containers. And, it's a happy place to work.
And you get to
I
be
mean, it is a little stressful because there's a lot of work to do. But it's not like now.
yeah.
So I'm liking it so far.
Wait, you feel like you can adjust to that pace?
Yeah. I mean, I hope so.
I can definitely relate to what the feeling you had or what you were talking about, that experience of getting out of treatment and being like, what am I going to do when I grow up? I mean, you're actually one of the few people that saw me working as a mail carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
action. Joe, I delivered mail to Joe's building, right? Yeah. He's like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, what are you doing?
I thought it
Those
was
guys,
cool.
yeah, oh yeah, but like it was kind of like I don't know what I'm gonna do when I grow up, right? And I'm like 40, and it's like, I mean, I think that it's tough, right? It's kind of tough to like get your bearings, I guess, if you will. And I mean, I guess the one thing I would take away from it is that I always kind of fell back on the recovery community at large, whatever that meant, the gym, the meetings, the fellowship, staying in the work, you know what I mean? And that kind of carried me through that time and allowed me to my head to clear and kind of a direction to form me a little bit. So, but yeah, totally relate, man.
Yeah. And me identifying, for so long as, this cool chef, this dad, this father, this husband, and living this certain life, all of a sudden, poof, is gone. And it's like, okay, I need to get to know myself. I need to figure out what I like, what I don't, what I want, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely relate. Being married for, it'll be 14 years this weekend, being a father for 13 years, and then out of the blue, it's just fucking gone. It was, I mean, it still is a trip to, I mean, but, I think second, third month into my recovery, when I kind of started getting my stride, and I'm just like, I'm have this independent life from my family, and it's just like,
Mm.
it was really difficult, to do the mental gymnastics with that. I mean, and being away from them for so long now, I'm just like, it was just like, God, I didn't feel like a dad anymore. It felt like it was a dream because it had been so long since I'd seen both of them, and so it's been a mind fuck. But also, Joe, I've been able to sit and have some time to myself. And as difficult as it's been being away from them, there's no way I would be where I am in my recovery if I didn't have the time to myself.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just like the idea of talking about like transition phases. As you're, so I guess for me, like the last 2 years, let's call it almost 20 months, 21 months, whatever it is, it's been one big transition, right? Because everything came to kind of an end from previous life. And I had to, sobriety started, and everything I knew it as my daily life looked like it just changed. Separation, kids. Once that happened, that day happened, like kids were no longer part of my daily life, and then new job, and then navigating all this, and then over the last 20 months or so, it's been one big transition getting the kids to the point where I'm now with them half the time, which is amazing. And then navigating this like new career, like it is essentially a new career for me. It's a new, not only a new role, but like a new career, like something I'm not used to doing per se. But and those things can like arise a lot of feelings on a daily level, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or sad feelings, or feelings of grief, or some weird feelings. But like the one thing that's remained constant has been like you guys, and kind of the direction that I want to go, right? And all the work I put in to like get towards that direction, whether it's meetings or sponsor work, step work, trying to be on time, trying to just
Progress, bro.
everything. Yeah, everything, you name it, like admitting, when I'm wrong, like early on, instead of like dying on a mountain, So I don't know, like Joe, I like that you brought up like the transitioning, just because like in my life it's been one big freaking transition for me, and like the only constant I have is like the tie to you guys and the rest of the program, really. And it's kept me freaking sane, and it's been able to keep me on track enough to where, hey, I'm here meeting you guys on a Friday night, and not, who knows where else I could be, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, it's definitely, uh, looking back, you realize that, okay, that transition needed to happen. You know, the thing I had before needed to come to an end or change into what it is now, you know.
Right.
You
That's
know, I just want to say, so the three of you, Anthony, Brandon, and Joe, you guys have a lot in common as far as those big transitions, those big um, times in your life, divorce or separation, kids, living on your own. Like that's huge. Like I don't know, you know, when you talk about that, Brandon, like being on your own, like I just can't fathom, I can't imagine living on my own. Like I would be
it's
a lost puppy. Like,
yeah, I fucking the other day. I mean, it comes and goes in waves, but earlier in the week, just like driving home in the evening when it starts getting dusk out, and before I could always count on my family being here, and it's just driving and like pulling into my neighborhood is fucking kills me.
hmm,
And I called Cbass, or not Steve, not you, T-Bone up, and we were talking, and I was just like, fuck, man, like I don't know like Sebastian and Rob know how difficult it is to not have anybody to come home to.
Well,
And
that's why I brought it up because
yeah,
I don't, and you know, I do hear you talk about it quite often,
yeah,
and I think about
yeah, bitch.
I do think about it. Like, I mean, Sarah was walking out the door. Like, it could,
Right.
we were so close of
Yeah.
separating, and I just fucking can't imagine like not having Sarah, or and when our son comes up to visit, like all of us not be together at the same time. I just can't. I'm just so fortunate and lucky, that
I,
it worked
uh,
out the way it worked out.
yeah, dude. I mean, the thing for me, and I'm like slowly come to realize, I remember when I met with Rob and I was like, I think was at peace with, you know, hitting my bottom, my family leaving, and I was probably, I don't know, 3, 4 months in, and there wasn't like a huge cloud of shame. And I asked him, I was like, "Am I a fucking sociopath? Like, why is it I'm not hung up on this?" And at the time, I was just like, I don't know if it's little steps that I'm doing that I to build the foundation to fortify what my future is going to be. I mean, because before I hit my bottom, I was just like, I there was no future. It was just it was just vast emptiness. I hated what I was doing. I've bitched about that a lot lately. But now I'm just like, I know that that's the reason why I got to that point is because I truly believe the micro steps that I'm taking every day, regardless of what it is just building up to be a better person for my kid, my, soon to be ex-wife, and for everybody else, because I am transmitting what I have. I'm not, this isn't bullshit. Like, my past life, alcoholism, a lot of it was performative, and I I don't feel that way. I'm doing everything that I'm saying that I want to do, and I can do that because I'm sober, and I've got my community. I've got you guys. And I've said it many times. I've just never had any kind of community really. And so this is all a new experience, and it's fucking amazing. So, I have my bad times, but I I can power through them, and I don't get hung up on them, and I don't exacerbate the situation because I'm fucking drinking, you know?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, hearing you guys talk about that a little bit, like I talked about this for me personally, I talked about this last like, what close to, I don't know, between a year and a half and 2 years, it's been like one transition. Then I'm realizing as I'm saying that out loud, like that transition needed to happen. And Joe, I think you kind of hit on this was if that transition didn't start out or like begin, I wouldn't that would needed to be the wake up call for me to actually do something this time, right? Like for me, that the separation, the being away from the kids for a brief time, like that absolutely was what got me, I guess, motivated enough to actually do something this time, right? So if that like line wasn't drawn in the sand for that new beginning, then and it wasn't by my own doing, someone else made the choice that I wouldn't have, started doing work, try to be better. Yeah, so I don't know. I heard something that you guys said, and it just made me think a little bit about my own experience. Like, absolutely had to happen, and it wasn't my own doing, you know?
Right. I was thinking about this the other day. I didn't have the strength to make the decision, to leave my wife. And so the decision at some point in time, if I don't make a decision, the decision is going to be made for me. And that's what it did. But I'm very grateful that, I landed where I did. You guys have no clue how grateful I am for you guys and the community at the Alano. Just like meeting that new guy, and seeing what he went through, and I told him, I was like, go to the Alano Club. Going to these other meetings is great, but the Alano's like a hub, and the people there are amazing, and that was what got me going, set me in the right direction.
I think it's that whole notion that pain is the great motivator, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it for me, like, although I didn't have the same experience as far as like having a relationship or children, or with children involved, anything like that. But I had the same experience when it comes to, having a bit of pain, right? But maybe not enough to stimulate the whole taking the action, like actually doing the work, right? You know what I mean? And it wasn't until, you know, it's unfortunate because I do see new guys come in to recovery and, they talk about not having lost everything, right? But then it's like, oh, I can't make it to, a meeting because I've got all these reasons, you know what I mean? Or I can't go out and fellowship because I got all these reasons, or I can't do this because I got all these reasons. And in my experience, like, I did that in the past, and what happened was I ended up going back out and having to burn my life down some more. And those things I was putting in front of the recovery ended up losing those things first.
Yep.
And Jimmy, you have had a massive transition in the last since I've known you, right? Like we met in treatment, transition, then you moved to a, a big new city that maybe rains 2 days less a year than your hometown.
Not as
But
much as I'd like. Yeah.
but then like a new career path as well, right? Like it's been a one wild big transition, just not in the form of like, you know, a separation and a division of assets and child support, maybe.
Yeah, and it's funny because I go through waves of like being like, God, you really wasted your life. Like you don't, you have no family. I mean, I do have a family. I'm extremely fortunate, but no like family of your own. You know what I mean?
Bragging.
What's that?
Quit bragging.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is I know. The thing is, and then I go back to the fact that like that's something really in my mind for me where I'm at now is to be somewhat grateful for because it allows me a lot of flexibility, at least in my personal case, to go and explore some other options. But yeah, yeah, I think we all have to go through major transitions and it's kind of like what do we do, right, when we go through those transitory periods in order to not slip back into addiction? That's the question for me, right?
Yeah. I used to first the first year of my sobriety, even into the second year, any sort of transition or change, I would just freak out. Like I hated change, I hated transition, I hated missing my meetings, I hated missing days at the gym. I think part of it was because my recovery was so important to me. I just wanted to succeed. I wanted to get past the first year. And, now that I'm approaching year three, I've been going through all kinds of transitions, all kinds of changes. And I, I feel totally different than my first, couple years. I welcome the transition. I welcome change. I enjoy it. I think it's good for me now. I think without change, you get complacent and you get bored. And for me right now, I think what I'm doing is keeping things fresh. And I think it's
Kind of hard not to with all that cologne.
Yeah, dude, you so fresh, Bay
I
19,
change my cologne every day. The new cologne every day.
bougie.
I talk about you in other meetings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll just
The fragrance.
when we go shopping.
Yeah.
It's not bad, man. It's a nice spotlight.
Yeah, it's something new with my recovery. It was a transition. It was a
Isn't that like a weird kind of it's a kind of a weird contradiction, wouldn't you say that like, okay, so we all have experience. Well, Brandon, you never went to rehab, right? Yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Jealous much?
Yeah. But okay, but in recovery, and I mean, they really stress to get a routine going, like when you're
True.
early, right? And I mean, and I think,
And that's what we learned in Treehouse.
yeah,
They pushed it, like they, like get a routine, get your meetings set up, and so I
yeah,
think that carried me through my first year or longer, and I finally feel like I think I was telling you, Joe, that I cut the umbilical cord to the 5:30. Like
Yeah.
I no longer feel like that's my absolute go-to meeting anymore, so just little things like that, like I think it's good for growth and maturity, and for me in my recovery.
Yeah, and at that structure, that meeting, that was giving you what you needed.
Yeah,
And now 3 years later, your needs are different,
yeah, absolutely.
you know? And
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I started, I attend three different meetings now, and other than the I didn't even know it's actually called 5:30 upstairs. It's called face to face. I don't know if anybody knows that. I was,
Harvey, that meeting.
yeah, it's called
Never knew that.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Today I learned.
Yeah, I
yeah.
was looking up meetings the other day, and it said, the 5:30 loft face to face, and I was like, what the fuck?
oh,
Uh,
that was a carryover from pandemic when all meetings went
on Zoom.
to Zoom, and then they started to go in person again. So they had to create another meeting so they could keep the Zoom meeting. So it became 5:30 face to face.
Mm.
Hmm.
There's no, it doesn't say 5:30 upstairs meeting, it just says 5:30 face to
Oh,
face. Anyway, I'll move on.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, going back to your point of, what kind of keeps me sober. Fuck, dude. I mean, I just feel so much better. It started probably 3, 4 months into my recovery, just from going to the gym and yoga and my nutrition, going to meetings and opening up. But, that was kind of the beginning. But now it's like I doing shit that I don't want to do is really fucking exciting to me. Like shit that scares me really excites me. And then when I'm done with it, it's, the boost from it and the self-esteem of I don't have to do this shit drunk. And just putting myself out there and just it fucking makes me happy. Just smiling at some random stranger, in the grocery store. Not pervy, but just
Ooh,
Sure. Yeah,
that,
right, dude.
that's a
I
fine
think
line. That's a fine line, Brandon.
I think that's a
what?
great point, though, dude. Honestly, I think that's a great point. Like, and that's kind of what I was getting at a little bit earlier is like, it's a little bit of a contradiction, right? We start out in like, you almost need to be in like a secured kind of environment the first little bit. At least for me, I needed to be in like very structured, but the goal, in my mind at some point is develop the ability to like seek out change, right? And for me, that's like again, I don't even know what this means, but like having like a connection with a higher power for me has been really helpful when I can tap into that. And again, I don't even know what the fuck that means, but I can feel it sometimes. It's almost like it just helps me kind of just go with. I heard somebody use a great analogy in the Saturday morning meeting over in Beaverton one time, that it's like you're floating down the river and you just kind of grab onto a log and just like let the river take you. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like your higher power.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that's how you kind of deal with change. You just kind of are going with the river. Like you could try and like paddle to the shore, and that's like you trying to take control. But you end up getting caught up and you're not going anywhere. But if you can just let go and go with the stream of life, and embrace change. You know, it's amazing, and you don't have to smile all pervy at people in the grocery store.
I don't know. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I bet.
No, but I was like literally standing in the line at New Seasons, and I was just like, dude, just fucking put a little smile on your face, because that's just not me. Like,
Yeah, probably. I'm sorry.
what, dude? What the fuck? What do
I'm
you say?
sorry.
Nah, dude. But it's just I look at
Was
these
she
things
cute?
where what's up?
Was she cute?
Oh, dude, he thinks
It
like
was it was a head of fucking broccoli, man. I was just like, oh god. Oh, broccoli, what's up, babe?
Nice flowers.
No, man, but just like the learning patience and all of these things, like I look at it as my life depends on it. Because when you boil it down, it actually does. Like the patience and stress and like, just getting pissed off in traffic. I say it because everybody fucking complains about it in the meeting. But it's these little things that are gonna build up that are, learning patience and all of these things, that I'm working on for myself. It's just like there's a oh God, I don't even want to say the word. That's another thing. Like my spelling and my like I'll lose words.
you can
Uh,
blame that on pause for like 5 years, dude.
no, it is. It seems like it comes in waves where I'm just like this today I was trying to spell something. I was like, dude, what the fuck? And intentionally, trying to spell it wrong on my phone so it would autocorrect and I did. It's just like it just comes out of the blue. Anyway, but just doing these things that I never gave a shit about before, and I was just so numb to my behavior, and it's just negative behavior. Your body builds cortisol, and you're adding the stress to your body, and it's just like I need my nerves to be chill, and I want to be chill, and I want to be fucking happy, and doing these little exercises that are exercises now are just gonna, they're starting to become habit. Like all the shit that I was doing in the beginning of my recovery, where it's just like I was frantically trying to do yoga, I was frantically trying to fucking meditate, I was frantically trying to exercise just because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing because I was so scared and felt so shitty. And now all of these things are just starting, like just not trying to control everything now, but things are just starting to come into play. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this in order for this to happen, and I just have a new outlook on everything, and it's not aggressive like it used to be, you
Hmm.
know. So it's
Isn't
just
there
kind of different.
isn't there a frantic meditation place over on Gleason somewhere?
I don't know.
Frantic
That sounds.
meditation.
No, dude, just kidding.
You should start that.
I should.
I actually would probably go over really well.
Yeah, I know.
Get a bunch of fucking punkers and death metal, speed metal cats over there.
Frantic.
Dude, I miss being in Portland, man. Portland's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you should
It's
move back,
dope.
dude.
I know. I want to. So
Not
bad.
gonna lie, it was kind of nice coming home yesterday. Like,
To the rain.
no, not that part,
It's
but
refreshing.
not at all that part. It was 80 degrees in where I was and sunny, but something
Sorry,
felt
where did you go?
Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Did you get
It was like
White
78. No, Culver's had some dizzies, great, but no, like coming home, it felt like flying home is like it feels good to be home, even though I still don't consider this home in a way. It's kind of weird, but it's feeling more like home, right? Like yeah. So, and you guys are a big part of that, you know?
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like you have more of a community this go around? Did you have any treatment prior to Treehouse, like in a treatment center like that?
No. Treehouse was my first, treatment facility, but, I was in AA for a long time. And my thing was I would go to meetings. It would get me out of the house. I would be able to say, yes, I'm doing recovery, would not talk to anybody. And as soon as the meeting was over, I'm out.
Yeah.
I did that for a long time. I was never scared to share or but I made these surface level connections, but never a real connection. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to let my guard down. I didn't know how to be authentic. I didn't know how to, I only knew how to tell you what I thought you wanted to hear.
Right.
And now, you know, going through Treehouse and connecting with people, because it was kind of forced upon you, which is fine. That's what I needed. Allows me to have connections now.
Yeah, I can totally relate. That's how I felt when I first went to the Alano, my first few meetings. They were talking about fellowship and this fucking barbecue and I was like, there's no way I'm hanging out with these fuckers, dude. I'll do my thing like I always do, where it's like I'll get into information and it was like high school. People would go do study group and it's just like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna go have fun. And you know, but I wasn't getting any better. And so that was like, when I basically begged Rob to be my sponsor and that's when shit really started shifting for me and getting way better than they were. Cause it was fucking hell. Like seeing that dude, it just got it brought back, from what I can remember. Anyway, yeah. Is this thing on?
Got your new mic.
Yeah.
Pussy Mike.
Whoa, dude.
What? Dude, it's a cat.
Black.
Oh,
Black.
hi, hi. Oh, what's her name?
Mononico.
Hi, Mona Nico.
Oh.
Hi.
Wait, I need an explanation for the name.
Yeah.
Nick, it's an
Yeah.
it's an anime character.
Okay.
Cool.
So
Well, I know what I'll be watching tonight.
Princess Mononico.
No.
Pitch Perfect too.
Yeah, it's perfect
Hey,
too. Hell
hey.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
There's part 3 and part 4 is coming out.
Is it?
Yeah, just saying.
Hell yeah.
And we're back.
Yeah, just took a little pause. And we're going to do a little cash out for Joe. You may not know what a cash out is, but as you bought in, you just kind of rate how you're feeling again. And you know, it doesn't have to change, but generally I feel like my score has changed tonight. I said like think it's 8 or 9, and I'm feeling like a solid 9 now, you know. This was really good seeing you guys and talking and just refocusing. The transition talk was just a really good talk because you got to find those constants in all the change. So thanks for the reminder, fellas.
Or
Thanks, T-Bone.
I'm a 4. Fucking James, Captain Bring Down, giving me shit for smiling in the grocery store.
Gotta quit smiling at broccoli, man.
I know. No, 9, man. This is always fun and enjoyable. So yeah, and I'm excited to hang out with James next week, get some fucking cupcakes and shopping.
Yeah.
Or
Dude.
Real quick, Jimmy, are you staying at my casa?
I don't know, man.
It's the Airbnb.
Airbnb. Oof. I
Because of
have,
T-bone, not because of
I don't
bone.
know about
yeah.
that.
No, it's the Airbnb because of T-bone, not because of anything else. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, hey, T-Bone, if I stay at your place, what would happen if I got a piece? He's like,
A
he's
piece?
got a basement.
a piece.
Like a gun?
No.
Right, like a gun.
All right, man. I haven't even I know what a piece is, and I don't even know what that is. I haven't done it in
I
years.
just don't think you say a piece. I think saying like changed
What if
the
that's
word association.
some relations?
There's a basement.
Oh yeah, dude. Do you have your gimp down there?
Not yet.
Oh fuck. Maybe I'm not staying at your
There's like a 300 pound.
The gimp.
There's like a 300-pound concrete sink that he can chain the gimp to.
yeah.
You've thought about this, huh, Brandon?
We were talking about it when you showed me the
I
place,
had no
man.
part of that conversation
Oh,
whatsoever.
bullshit.
He's already thinking about what he could fabricate for you, dude, over in his shop.
So much. So
So
much.
much.
So much gimp gear.
All right. I'm a 9 now. I wanted to choose 4, but Brandon already stole my thunder. So, no, I mean, I'm a 9. Like, this is something that is part of my like recovery Swiss cheese sandwich analogy thing. And so, I feel like there's all these things that I just do and they're becoming fun. Like you guys are fun to hang out with, even on Zoom, even Brandon. So
Oh.
I would say I am now no longer in between 7 and 8. I am an 8, and it is just nice to
Hey.
talk to guys about recovery and those sorts of things. And you guys are a fun group. And James, it's nice to see you. And yeah, I'm thankful that you guys invited me to join you.
Yeah, it's going to be our
Glad you
best
showed up,
episode.
man.
This is our first. You're our first guest.
Yeah.
So,
Top that.
yeah, we're gonna top the charts with this episode. Yeah, I'm an 8. I'm good. It was a good topic. Transitions, big part of my story right now, or my recovery right now. So I think that was good to talk about that. Yeah, it was fun. Thanks, guys.
Yay.
Yay.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and
You got to say, smash the subscribe button.
punch the subscribe button.
Smile at people in the grocery store.
Yes.
Their day.
And inanimate objects.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Joe.
Fuck yeah.
Bye, guys.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Right Size Living. Thank you guys for participating, and most of all, thank you listeners for your attention. We hope you found this interesting and will join us again soon. Goodbye.